I was going to try.
Oh my god.
Whatever. Hi guys, welcome back to the Charming Analysis podcast. I'm Mari.
I am Jade.
And today we are going to be talking about Inside Out and Inside Out 2.
Yes.
So for those who don't know, we reviewed Dream Productions a while back. And that's basically the midquel to the first and the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to see our review on that, please go check it out on the channel. So after we saw Dream Productions, I told Jay we need to see the first one and the second movie to kind of see what's going on, like with the midquel and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Get the remote out of your mouth.
Mm-mm.
Yes. But yeah, so we did Dream Productions a while ago. Now I'm finally happy we can do these two movies. I am so excited to talk about it. What about you?
Okay.
All right. So we're going to talk about the first one, Inside Out. Why don't you explain what Inside Out's about, honey?
It's about emotions in our head. And, they dictate this one girl's emotions.
Named Riley.
And she is moving to San Francisco. And her emotions dealing with it. Hijinks happen. Joy and sadness are separated in the mind and have to get back before Riley destroys herself.
Well, basically does something she's going to regret.
Yes.
But yeah, so I saw that we both have everyone's pretty much have seen this movie when it came out. This came out, I think, let me look up the exact date, because it's been a while since I've seen this movie. It came out in 2015. So this movie it's basically 10 years old, which is honestly crazy.
Mm-hmm.
10 years. That's fucking nuts. But yeah, I have always enjoyed this series. I'm going to call it a series because we got a first movie, a midquel mini-series, and the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm allowed to call it a series. So, but yeah, I have been into this series for a very long time. Ever since the first one came out. This is one of my favorite Pixar movies, to be completely honest. And when we watched Dream Productions, Jay told me about, I was honestly genuinely excited to finally talk about Inside Out and Inside Out 2. Mm-hmm. But at the time, I had only seen Inside Out. And I begged Jay for months to finally watch the second one with me. Because I've been wanting to hear his thoughts about both of them. And he really liked Dream Productions. So I thought it was a given at this point. But yeah, I'll talk about a bit of stuff first, since Jay looks like he needs a moment to kind of collect his thoughts. But one of the things I like about this movie is I like the way they present the emotions. They're presented as like different people. While most people's emotions from what we've seen, like in, Riley's dad and Riley's mom, are all one set gender, while Riley's has a mix of male and female, which is interesting. But I like that we get a contrast of like that. And each of the characters has their own look, their own like distinguishing features to make them unique from one another. You got Joy, who's the happy, bubbly one. You got Sadness, obviously the sad one. She wears like a little sweater to kind of cover herself up, kind of showing that she's, closed off. You got Disgust, who's basically like the fashionista of the group. She basically just wants Riley she wants to protect Riley in her own way, I guess is the best way to put it. And then you have Fear, which is basically Riley's fears. And then you have Anger, when he basically explodes every time like something doesn't go his way, in a sense. So each character has their own distinct traits and personalities, besides their own emotions. You get to see how each of the characters kind of goes about how stuff is. And that's one of the things I definitely like about this movie. I like getting to see how the creators of the series represent each of the emotions in Riley's head. You mostly focus on Riley in this, but it is interesting to actually see kind of everyone else's here and there. It's a nice little, like, it's a great way to represent the mind. I feel like it's a good way to present a character's mind, in a sense. But what about you, honey? What do you like about this series? Take it away. Like, what are your thoughts on this, on Inside Out?
I thought in Dream Productions, I guess I liked the way it was presented because it was basically just a mockumentary about a studio. And like the dream stuff was, kind of fiddling with emotions like that and how to deal with them. And I thought that was a better concept than coming back and watching Inside Out and then having to live through the sequel. I don't think I'm gonna really like the concept of emotions having thoughts or feelings. I don't think of like having I don't think having these characters as individual like things in your head is gonna be a concept I'm gonna be really psyched about ever wanting to visit. The first one came out 10 years ago.
Yeah, it came out in 2015.
I was a very impressionable kid, and I was like, oh, Pixar can do no wrong. And I watched it, and I cried like a little baby when I first saw it. And, now I just think that they're passable. I think they're passable kids' movies. As someone who is an adult, this is not the type of kids' movie that appeals to me.
And I get that. It's not for everybody.
I don't really care. I've always found myself attracted to kids' movies that told their stories front and center. And having like a group of people controlling one particular person
or entity
is kind of just makes the story uninteresting to me. It just it's because I'm following these group of people who want to pretty much envelop this one personality. And I would be so more interesting, I think, if they literally just played it off straight and they just told this girl's life without having to go into someone else's mind. I get it. Like, you can tell, you can let kids know about their emotional state more, but I think this is more of an education. I think this is more of an educational thing that just does not entertain. There's so many other stuff that you could, whenever I think of something like this, I think of an educational video, kind of a little bit. But even then, educational videos are so some of them are some of the stuff is entertaining. We grew up with them, and I think this is just one of them where it's pretty much, first level armchair psychologist, and this one's fine. I don't know what kind of messaging you will want to send to kids if you want kids to think that there's people in your head that is controlling your mind. Maybe I'm looking too deep into that.
You might be a little bit.
But if I was a kid and I saw this, now I would think, well, are there people, is that emotion supposed to be good? Is any of these emotions supposed to be good? because like I have to like kind of like separate a little bit, because some kids can't control their emotions. And
True, unfortunately.
and like it's like something that needs to be it's something that I think they tiptoe the line of like, oh, like, you know, sometimes you're good, you know, sometimes you need this emotion, but it needs to like, you know, but you're not the one controlling your emotions. It's kind of weird to put it that way. I have a feeling if I like, cause then I feel like this is gonna confuse kids sometimes a lot, and maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just ignore it because it's colorful and it's funny and stuff. I just wonder, like, if kids, because kids think about the media that they consume, even if it's on a surface level. I'm more interested in I'm just more interested in what an actual character does than like the emotions of the character having feelings and going through that. Like, it makes it obvious.
And that's why you like Dream Productions better?
I like Dream Production because it takes a concept that is following individual people, and it's making it like a mockumentary of a studio.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't take it to a point where it's uninteresting to me, because you do something with the medium of this being from, you know, a movie that is it's not really emotions, it's just the concept of dreams, and that's way more interesting to me. I don't find it interesting, and the only good scene that I can think of between these two movies is the one where Eileen comes back home and she like breaks down in front of her family, and she cries, you know, for the first time, and like I thought that was a good scene, but I think that was a good scene because it was. I think it was a good scene because it was acted well, and I think like if we could have just had this girl's life play straight out, if you took the whole concept of not emotions out, just having this one girl live her life moving into a big city and dealing with all these emotions, I think you would have had like a good Pixar film. I think you would have had a decent film.
Jay, you are going way off tangent.
But like I don't like in terms of, I just don't really have really much passion about Inside Out.
And I understand that. Like, I understand that. And I see where you're coming from with that aspect of it. But that wouldn't be the same kind of movie. It would probably have been a different movie entirely.
I know. I know. And sometimes I think of just stuff that I would want to see.
And that's fine. Like, you're allowed to do that.
But, like, I'm just not drawn to these, like, you know, I'm just not drawn to, like, this concept of, like, oh, like, you know, you know that there's things in... Do you know that there's things... It's not the concepts of the fact that, oh, things have feelings, blank, blank, blank. Like, that, like, you know, you can make the bare bones blanks have feelings or something. Which a lot of, like... Which is, like, you know, standard for Pixar. Blank has feelings. What if this happened? Yada, yada, yada. You know, and I feel like that's the only thing that they thought of. I feel like this is one of those bare bones options that is the thing that they thought of, and then they put in a lot of like puns in there to make it more digestible.
Okay.
And I don't think that's, and I do not think that whole concept or whatever creativity that they put in here was enough to make like a interesting movie.
And I also see where you're coming from.
For me to watch, because you can make as many blanks of feelings as you want. It's really the characters and, like, you know, the acting and stuff that's gonna push it through. The writing. I don't think it did. I don't think it did that. I don't.
And I get that. Like, I can understand that in your aspect of it. like, maybe it's because I like each of the characters and stuff. Maybe it's just more that kind of thing. And I understand this movie is not going to be for everybody. Like, I get it. I get into the more nitty-gritty, interesting movies. But I still think it's one of the better Pixar movies that they've done, at least concept-wise. But I do see where you're coming from with it.
At least with, like, dream productions, you can get abstract with it. You can get abstract of what a dream is actually saying. Or, you know, or in that case, like, what dreams, like, you know, predict your fears, like, upcoming fears, and, like, you know, you working through that in your head. Like, that is way more interesting than just, I guess, Joy figuring out that sometimes you need sadness in your life.
Or sometimes you need to be able to control your emotions.
Because yeah... it would have been better played straight.
I get it.
And you can continue praising the movie if you want.
Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Don't say anything. So I guess that's all your thoughts on Inside Out?
I guess both of them.
You didn't even let me explain the second one.
Yeah, but, like, it's almost the exact same beat as the other one. Like, they get that new emotions come in. They get, like, you know...
Basically, Riley is going through puberty in the second movie. You're getting ahead of yourself.
It wasn't even discussed at all. The puberty button, they yeeted that out the window. It wasn't even the start. It was just the start of new emotions coming in, like wrecking havoc. They had to go through the mind again, which, great fucking thing for a sequel to do.
Except this time, instead of sadness, you had the other three.
Yeah, but like rehashing stuff, which is not a good thing for anything to do.
As I was going to say, you're getting ahead of yourself, honey. Like,
it's just...
Hold on. Back it up. Back it up a little bit. Okay. We discussed Inside Out a little bit. Do you want to discuss Inside Out too? Since you are already getting ahead on that aspect of it.
It's basically the same movie, but just with
4 more emotions.
Yeah.
Well, compared to the first movie, these emotions are a lot more complex. You have anxiety.
One is complex. Or, no, not even, like, one is not complex. One is just basically fear amped up.
Well, you do realize anxiety is a type of fear.
It is a type of fear.
As someone who has anxiety, it's more than just fear.
Yes.
It's, like, constantly...
And that's the only, like, new character that is actually shown to be like a semblance of an actual character. Everything else they just kind of put in for like
shits and giggles
stuff.
Because like you get boredom, which I was surprised they gave us boredom. I don't know why they did that. Envy, I feel like was just kind of anxiety's like second in command, and then embarrassment's just there.
Okay, but why couldn't, like, the emotions, like, be, like, you know, be more involved? Why couldn't they, like, have it just so their personality shifted a different way? Or the metamorphosis of a change? I don't understand why you needed new characters for it. I just don't get the whole point of adding more characters to the cast.
Well, don't forget, this takes place 2 years after the first movie, canonically, because I think she was 11 in the first movie, and then she has to be 12 in the midquel.
I get it, but if you're not going to give them anything to, if you're not going to give any of your extra cast to do anything, or you're just going to sideline the old cast to focus on a few characters, then that's like one of the worst things that you can do in a sequel. It's like it's convoluted for no reason, and I think that this is just, you know, I think that this is just the first movie again, but with like more useless characters and more like probably worse jokes, worse comedy.
Bash the 2 movies?
I'm not bashing them. This is for someone. It's just not for me. It's not a story that I really would care about.
And that's fine. And I understand that.
Like, maybe if I was still praising, Pixar back in my,
early days
where I thought, animated films, I want all of them to be good, and, the ones that, are not so good, I gave a pass to, because I liked one message, or I liked one scene. I'm not like that anymore. I'm just like, if I like one scene, I'll give that scene credit, but I'm not going to give credit for your whole movie. It has to be just, maybe I just like vibes too much, or something like that. I like movies that, I like movies that they know what they want to be right out the gate, instead of doing this pitter-patter of metaphor all the time. And I just look, tell a movie, tell a story, and tell an interesting story, and I'll probably be fine. And I don't think that Inside Out tells a story that couldn't already be told by someone a lot better. I've seen the story of a girl struggling with a new place, or struggling with anxiety, or doing all of these things. I've seen this concept of this story done so much better without all of this jargon of emotions are in your head, and they have feelings, and they can talk to you, and
don't forget.
I also get I think that this movie was probably a good art book. I feel like this movie was probably a good art book. It's one of those movies where it's a good art book, and they wanted to do these character designs that were
interesting
and cute,
intricate,
and very cylinder. I think of cylinder when I think of this movie. I think of a circle. I think of very pretty circles and mind bubbles and all this stuff. Let's go inside this person's imagination type stuff.
Okay.
And that's what I think. And I think that makes for, a pretty cool picture book. You know what? It should have been a picture book. I would have liked this as a picture. Maybe it would have been better as a picture book. Not a full-length movie. This feels like a 12-page picture book.
They probably did that.
Yeah, they probably did. This feels like a 12-page picture book. And that probably would have been better than me sitting through these two 90-minute movies.
I understand you don't like these movies. Okay. I get it. You don't like these movies.
I don't like these movies.
You tolerate them. I know you don't hate them.
I don't hate them. I find them boring.
Really?
I find it boring.
I feel like this one was a bit more... I feel like Inside Out 2 was a bit more complex when it came to, anxiety as a character. They had good intentions, but they were executing them in the worst possible way. And I actually like that we get introduced to anxiety, because as someone who has anxiety in general, it's interesting to kind of see someone's take on it. And getting to see Riley kind of going through a panic attack in a sense, and trying to learn what she wants out of life is an interesting concept to take, especially because she's literally 13. She's literally starting a teenager.
I would have literally liked anxiety better if I did not see a million types of these archetypes, of the anxiety written character.
And that's fine.
As, in your average piece of media.
And that I get. But it's a good
But they didn't do anything to distinguish from any other thing. Anxiety. Oh, I'm anxious about everything. I'll think about every little thing that could go wrong. Or I'm anxious. I don't want to do this. Da 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 da. It wasn't any different from anything else I haven't seen, and that's just a problem. It's just kind of a problem for me. I'm just And you can do stuff that I've seen a million times before, and you can do them in, like, so interesting ways. You just gotta have good writing and good acting, and I don't see any spark in this at all.
Okay, well, since you're going to say what kind of movie you think this would have been, besides the fact that we didn't need to see the emotions, what would you have done better with the emotions?
What would I have done better? I wouldn't have put any, like, quote-unquote characteristics of emotions. I would just had Riley play her life. I would have had, like, a girl going through, like, I would have had a girl going through stuff. And it being, like, more, like, more emotional.
Also, I feel like when they kicked the little siren for the puberty thing, it's to show that she's a late bloomer. I feel like that's why they did that.
Sure, but...
Because everyone goes through puberty. Just saying. She probably could have, like, done it a bit differently, but...
What was a quote that, like, someone said before about, like, Pixar movies? Pixar, like, in the early stages of Pixar, it was written for adults. Now they're written for kids.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're writing... If this was early Pixar and they would have written stuff for adults...
This would have been a little bit darker.
No, it would have been better.
Would have been better?
Because it's like... Maybe I'm just like... You either... Maybe I'm just content to the fact that, like, either you play to the either adults, maybe my taste has just changed because I'm just more for the stuff that, like, adults who speak to adults or adults who speak to the kid inside you.
And I get that as well.
And there's there's a fine line of doing that. And I don't think that's what I think this was adults making a movie for kids. And I'm just not into I'm just not into that as much anymore. I'm into, like, when something can break the mold and like talk to the kid in you, because I think that is more interesting than just adults talking to kids like they need to be simplified. And I don't think we need that.
Okay.
I don't think we need that. I think, like, when Pixar, or, back when Pixar was, like, making their, I guess, like, renaissance of movies, like, things that are praised beforehand, like, they were, like, dealing with, like, they were dealing with, like, characters that had, like, specific goals, and they, like, or, like, a story that, like, was kind of, like, I guess I could compare it to comparison to Toy Story, which is, like, these toys that, like, come to life, and, like, what do toys do when you're not looking at them, and, like, how that relates to you being, like, a kid, like toys relating to kids. And what that tells, and what the adults, which are the toys,
telling the kids,
like, how much they mean to, how much the toys are looking up to this kid, and they're, like, just, admiration for a kid who loves them. Adults having the appreciation for kids and what they think of them. But instead we went the opposite direction. What do kids think of adults? And I'm not saying that those stories can't be interesting, because there's, like,
plenty out
there of, like, kids growing up and, like, having the emotions of just growing up. But I don't think this does it in an interesting way that
you like.
That it's just kind of just bare bones a little bit.
Okay.
For me. And
okay, I'm stopping you on this very long tangent, honey. I'm not trying to be a butt, but you
I don't know.
literally went on a tangent for 10 minutes.
Every time I see these, I'm just like, just something is just off about it. And I don't know if I'm making sense about it.
You're making sense.
But
I understand.
I just can't really gravitate towards these movies.
And that's fine. Do you have anything else to say before we wrap it up? Because I'm not trying to rush you, honey, but like
fine.
You went on like one of the longest tangents.
There's fewer movies now that there's fewer like animated films now that are targeted towards kids now that I have not been really given like just more than the sense of being okay. And I think that's just because my taste has just changed. And again, I liked this movie when it came out like 10 years ago.
And I know that.
I liked it. I thought it was there's still like old reviews of when I did this like 10 years ago, and I sat down and I was like, Inside Out is good.
I think I remember.
Yeah, and like
I think I actually saw that video.
Yeah, and that was just me being an impressionable kid, and just like it's good because people say it's good. Now I'm just saying that it's all right because I'm being nice, and because I think that like it's okay. It's okay with the animation. It's okay with like anything else to make an animated film, but it's not. Man, do I just not care.
Anyway, okay. Anything else that's not a tangent? Because I don't mind you going on tangents, honey, but it's like,
you can praise it now.
Honestly, like I pretty much said what I needed to say. No offense, honey, but your tangent kind of like your tangent basically like took over most of the video. So I'll give a very short thing of praise since you look like you don't want to talk about this anymore. Both movies I think are good in their own aspects. One is good on the bare bones like beginning levels of emotions, while Inside Out 2 kind of goes into like the beginning stages of puberty, like not the exact thing of puberty, but the beginning stages of it, because normally when you become from 12 to 13, you kind of start, developing a little bit. You go through puberty. It's basically what I'm going to say. I like that they added a little bit more complex emotions, but I feel like some of them could have been done a bit better. Like anxiety and envy, I feel like are the only two that actually do get screen time, and they kind of play off each other a bit. Ennui, I think is how you say her name. I'm just going to say boredom, just to kind of make it easier on myself. Boredom barely is on the screen, and every time they are, they're freaking out about their phone. And then Embarrassment's quiet till literally the end. I liked Embarrassment's voice, though. He should have talked a little bit more. But other than that, I think both movies are interesting. Do I think they're everyone's cup of tea? No. But I personally like them.
At least it's not Elemental.
Do you really hate Elemental that bad?
I think it's one of their worst movies. I think it's one of the worst animated films I've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, we are not getting into an Elemental rant again. I'm gonna stop you before you get on that train again.
But it's not.
Once you start, you don't stop.
The only thing that I can say is that I don't like the jokes. I don't like the jokes that Inside Out has, because basically puns and stuff. And it's not really all that funny.
Okay.
But it's not as bad as Elemental, where I was just constantly groaning and just being like, wow, this dialogue is actually really bad.
Okay, we're not going on this rant
I
again.
just got bored.
Picks the bean up and carries him away. You are not going on an Elemental rant again. I love you, honey, but come on. You have already ranted about Elemental in at least 4 fucking videos that I can think of to date.
Comparison of Pixar. Maybe it's not. Also, it's probably not as bad as What is it? I guess it's probably not. I think it's probably not as boring either as The Good Dinosaur or Finding Dory.
Oh my gosh, Jay.
I'm just trying to think of other movies other Pixar, just so I could prove that there's other probably not so good Pixar movies that I can, like, comparatively go through a tier.
One of these days, we're going to go through a Disney
so
or
I can
Pixar.
prove to you that it's not the worst thing I've seen from Pixar.
I will say this. One of these days, we're going to do a fucking tier list for different Pixar films. And I guarantee you, you're going to find something worse.
Look, I'm already making a list on Letterboxd and compiling all of the animated films I've seen, putting them all from worst to best. I'm already doing that.
Are you making that your own separate video?
I'm just making it a thing on Letterboxd
Aww,
right now. I gotta watch a lot more animated films to actually get, like, my head up in ass, because I need to watch stuff that is not American at this point.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, enough side tangenting. Please. Okay, let's rate both the movies and then together as a whole. Because we already did, actually, let's just rate both the movies. Mm-hmm. Because we already did our thing for Dream Productions. I don't remember what our rating was.
I don't remember either.
Inside Out, the first movie, I'm going to give a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's good. Maybe it's one of those feel-good movies to me. But I give it a 7.5. I think it's good. I don't know if it's the best Pixar movie out there, but it is one of my personal favorites. And then I give Inside Out 2, honestly, a 7.5 as well. I give them both 7.5s. I think they're good in their own ways. They need to do some improvements and stuff if they ever do consider making a third movie, which I know you're probably going to be like, no, they don't need a third movie, even though in my opinion, they should do one when she's an adult. I'm curious what that would be like. Like an adult Riley kind of deal. Because they did one when she was a kid, and they did one when she was, like, adolescence and then teenager, so they kind of have to do it as an adult at this point. Let's make a trilogy out of it. In my opinion. But, I don't know, maybe they'll be like, no. Or they'll do, like, another miniseries, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so good! I have no idea. But, both, in my opinion, are 7.5s. And look, you have new Letterboxd reviews to put. Whee!
I give the first one a 4, and then the second one a 3.
Really?
Yeah.
That low?
It's not low.
Well, it's kind of low. Lower than you're used to rating ones.
That's less than average.
Okay, fine. Fine. Picture my little Sona just when I say that, like just bouncing along the screen, like fine. Wow. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I have to watch Superman after this because that's the only reason Jay agreed to do these two movies.
Yeah, we're not even watching it tonight.
We were going to, but then we realized what time it was. It's almost 3 a.m. for us. And I have to get up early tomorrow.
Yep.
That's the only reason we can't do this right now. But we will be reviewing Superman, the new Superman, this week. And we're hoping to have this video and 2 other videos up by then, before we do the Superman one. My gosh, this is taking forever. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. And as always, I'm Mari.
I'm Jay.
And we're out. Bye, guys.
Bye.